What it do, what it do, how y'all feeling? Welcome to Ash Neil's Radio. I am your host, Ash Neil. That is I. So, we talking to y'all. Yes, you guys know the story. Karmelo Anthony, Austin Metcalf, bad situation. Terrible situation. Well, this is an update, I guess. There's a lot of new information that came out, like the police report and stuff like that. But I think I want to aim on the bias in this case, because I did do a video. I did a video kind of being as nuanced as possible, right? And I was just basically saying, because the team that's supposed to be representing Karmelo Anthony came out with some information that was debunking a lot of the stories that were out there. So I came out and said, hey, let's chill, get all the information, and then come up with a conclusion, right? So as, I guess, open-minded as I can be, we still had people trying to make him look guilty. Yes. So I just want to say, personally, that with my attempt of civility, I think now all gloves are off. Sorry. And I'll tell you why. Because we have a lot of people like Megyn Kelly that have this weird view on this whole situation, right? She think that her view is the view that most people have, right? So I just want y'all to pay attention to what she says and understand why there are so many people behind the racial aspect of this case. Because we know what framing means. We know what people are doing with words. And when Megyn Kelly said what she said, and she's the only one that said it, I had to call her out.
I want to kick it off with this case down in Texas. It's so disturbing. These two kids, these two high school kids, this didn't need to happen. Right. The 17-year-old assailant, Karmelo Anthony, is arrested and charged with murder over the stabbing death of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. It happened on April 2nd. Austin and his twin brother and this Karmelo Anthony, who belonged to a different school, were all at a track meet as spectators.
Now, this video came out days after the event or the situation, and a lot of new information came out. And it said clear as day that both Karmelo and Austin were on the roster to be there. So Megyn, with this vague excuse of these kids that may or may not supposed to have been there, she's trying to warm up her bias for, I guess we both have bias. People got biases who supporting Karmelo. Some people have biases that are supporting Austin. Now, let's see what she says.
I don't totally understand, because I've heard different versions of this, but it appears that at the track meets, they would set up these tarps, and then various kids would hang out under the tarps. And Austin and his twin brother and a group from their school were under one tarp. There were many tarps. And Karmelo Anthony, who was from a different school and definitely not part of their posse, came under the tarp and appears to have sat in Austin's seat.
That's a lie. That's not what happened. Nobody claimed that but you. Most of the stories that came out said that Karmelo was already sitting there, and Austin came up to him. Nobody said it was Austin's seat. Only you. So you're trying to make it seem as if he was just this vigilante. And you contradicted yourself, because you said that Karmelo walked up and went to the place that he wasn't supposed to be, but then you said he was sitting in someone's seat. already. So we're going to let you continue to show your bias, because I think all gloves are off. And I'm going to show you what I mean by when I say all gloves are off, because we're done. We're done trying to be civilized, because you don't want it. You want to paint this kid as a criminal.
Again, the allegations on exactly where he was and what the offense was, it remains somewhat fuzzy to me, but it was definitely under a tarp at a track meet.
Exactly.
And the allegation is that Austin went over to Karmelo. This is from the police report, that Austin went over and Austin told Anthony that he needed to move out from under their team's tent. And Anthony grabbed his bag, again, quoting here, this is a full description, Officer Taylor Wetzel
Don't come
wrote
up
this,
with your own.
based on what a witness told him. Then Karmelo Anthony grabbed his bag after being told he had to move and reached inside of it and proceeded to tell Austin, touch me and see what happens. No one really thought Anthony really had a weapon in his bag, and Austin proceeded to touch Anthony.
Boom. Austin proceeded to touch Anthony. Case closed.
And then Anthony told Austin to punch him and see what happens. A short time later, Austin grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and Anthony pulled out what was recalled as a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest.
Right.
And then...
Think about it. He grabbed him. At least that's what Megan said. Right? He grabbed Anthony. Why? We all keep saying, why are you touching him? But they gloss over it. They just gloss over it. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, he told him to move. Yeah, he grabbed him and he pushed him. Yeah. But he pulled out a knife. I don't know, man.
And ran away. Another officer spoke to two witnesses, one being the victim's twin brother, Hunter Metcalf. They were hysterical. So what we're hearing from Karmelo Anthony's defense lawyer is that they're going to argue this was self-defense.
Right.
That,
of course.
He said, touch me and find out what happens. And then Austin touched him. And therefore he was in fear and pulled out a knife. I mean, you could argue self-defense if he had pulled out his fists and started punching Austin Metcalf. We wouldn't be here. The law would not be involved.
Well, according to Megan, but the law clearly states deadly force, not fists. Sorry. The law states that if you feel like someone is about to cause you bodily harm or even cause you death, you can apply deadly force. So your logic makes no sense. We wouldn't even be here if it was a fight. There wouldn't even be a law written behind. Why would there be a law written behind fists? I mean, of course, some professional boxers, they're registered and their hands are on record. But a self-defense claim is literally due to serious offenses, like the death of someone or someone actually causing bodily harm. So for you to say, the law doesn't require you to pull out a weapon, you're completely wrong. Sorry.
But Mark, he pulled out a knife and stabbed him in the chest. And you tell me, but the self-defense laws in Texas and in all states require proportionality.
Of course. And when I said, of course, that's a defense, it's because you're not going to argue insanity and you're not going to argue it was, someone else who did it. It's clearly going to be self-defense. And the question is, do the facts rise to the level where he reasonably feared death or great bodily harm from this guy? And that hinges upon really what are the witnesses saying? We don't have all the statements. Maybe there's a few who say that the victim did grab him, because I did read that occurred. I've heard touching. Yep. I've heard grabbing. Yep. I don't know. But if
they don't know. But it was touching, grabbing, and I think I heard punching from somewhere, but I don't know because I wasn't there. But these are all things that you guys can say openly and not understand the self-defense claim. All right.
If it was just like you read, I think that falls short of reasonably believing death or great bodily harm. And here's the other thing. The other thing is he was the instigator. He, meaning the defendant. That's a problem. When you're the instigator, when then you're the initial aggressor.
Boom. This is their take. Even though we have all this information that he was not the initial aggressor, this is how they want to paint it. Oh, and I hear shit about provocation all the time. That's what they keep trying to say. Oh, he provoked this. Like, how do you provoke something? Now, mind you, provocation is the act of provoking an initial aggression or an initial act. If you're saying that he was the initial aggressor, then by definition, he can't be provoking. I'm not a lawyer, but that kind of sounds like a contradiction.
I think you might lose some protections that you normally have.
Can't claim self-defense. That's exactly right. If you started it and the other guy is like, okay, let's go.
See? Look at how they do it. If you started it, how did he start it? By sitting there? We all know what happened. Karmelo was sitting there and Austin and his brother came up to him. Austin's brother, on the news, on cameras, claimed that he said something to him first, and then his brother came around and I guess started the physical contact. So for you, Megan, to sit here with all this information that came out and say you can't start something and then he didn't. You're just lying on purpose, and it's sad. So this is what I mean by gloves are off. Don't ask me to be civil no more. Sorry.
Then you can't say, I had to do it to protect myself. Here is Tim Pool. He's a podcaster, Arthur. He was on his show talking about this, and I'd love to get your reaction to what he says here. Watch.
Imagine you are invited to a party at someone else's house, and you are legally carrying a firearm. And then a fight breaks out, and or like an altercation breaks out between you and some guy, and there's drinking involved or whatever. I'm not trying to make a 1-for-1 scenario. I'm trying to create a potential scenario separate from this one with similarities. You go to a party. Let's say you go to a party, and some guy starts saying stuff like, "Yo, man, get out of here." And you're like, "I can do what I want. I was invited to the party." Verbal altercation escalates, and then the dude, you're standing there, and you pull your sweater back, and you've got a gun. And you put your hand up and say, "Don't come close to me, bro. I'm warning you right now. Do not come close. Do not take another step."
Right.
Then the guy grabs your arm,
right,
and makes a move. So you draw your weapon and you use it. Okay, make the argument you have no right to defend yourself when you're being attacked by a guy. Make the argument. By all means, go ahead and do so. I ain't going to do it.
He ain't going to. Nick, make the argument. I don't even agree with Tim Pool most of the time. But I agree with him now. We want y'all to make the argument that this was not self-defense.
Do it.
That's a ground ball. That's a ground ball. I mean, that's a law school where you can't. So, sorry, you have to get punched in the face. You're not allowed to execute someone.
Who said he wasn't? I heard he was. But keep in mind what he just said. You have to be punched in the face, right? So I asked him if there's evidence that come out that state that he was punched, can he claim self-defense then?
With a gun, who's going to punch you in the nose? And just the way the law is, I believe, in all 50 states. You just said it, Megan. There's a proportionality. Let me just tell you how this case is going to get handled in Texas with this 17-year-old. Oh, it should get, and this is the reality, and Mark will back me up. Guy Glosh is going to get hired. He's going to get some kind of a child psychologist or some kind of child psychiatrist. They're going to do a whole buildup of this kid, who he is, where he's from. The defendant, right. I'm talking about, who he is, where he's from, what his background is, any kind of mitigation whatsoever. And then you're going to go in and you're going to sit down with one of the lead prosecutors of the Homicide Bureau in that jurisdiction, and you're going to be like, look, you and I know that based on the witnesses, based on the evidence that we have, yes, there's a possibility I could go in front of a jury with a straight face and say self-defense, but that's right. Too big of a risk for a 17-year-old kid who might spend the rest of his life in jail. We're not minimizing the loss of life of another 17-year-old, but let's not try to have two absolute complete tragedies. And let's talk about a number, a real number, where the kid's going to spend a lot of time in jail, but not the rest of his life in jail, which would probably be the case if he goes to trial and loses, and you sit down and two qualified lawyers, very experienced lawyers, with the approval of the judge, work out some sort of plea bargain. This is not,
that makes perfect sense.
This is not a trial.
But there's a lot behind these two sides right now. Right. People are lining up on both sides of this case. Yep. The GoFundMes for each guy are almost exactly the same amount, let's call it $325,000, that people have donated to both, because people defending Karmelo Anthony think that this was self-defense and he's getting railroaded.
And you got a lot of people hating on Karmelo Anthony and trying to get his GoFundMe taken down. Like, come on. Why? There's evidence that need to come out to support your hate. Innocent until proven guilty means you don't get to decide if he's allowed these funds. So sit back and shut the fuck up and let both sides get their money.
Potentially because he's black, and people on the Metcalf family side say this is outrageous. At worst, if you take all the allegations about Austin Metcalf as true, at worst what he did was put his hands on a guy who refused to leave a section that he wasn't seated in, and put his hands on him at the guy's invitation to say try to make me.
Thank you, Megan. I appreciate it. That's what we're saying. But the way you minimize it is like, I mean, you can say, he put his hands on the guy, so. But if it was the other way around and a black kid put his hands on him and the white kid stabbed him, oh yeah, he would be all kind of aggressive thugs, hip hop molded, fatherless home type of mentality to grab somebody. That's how you would say. That's exactly what you would say. But now you're like, almost like y'all saying, people could put your hands on you all they want to. It's not that big a deal. That's kind of like what y'all saying. And there is a lot of these, I guess, real lawyers, fake lawyers, opinion lawyers that got shit to say about the case. And I'm getting disgusted because they all sound stupid. All of them. Personally. Because I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. But I can see how a case can be self-defense. I can see it. I can sit back and be like, all right, there was just cause for X. But when your bias is in the way, yes, you're not going to be able to see straight. Even if you're a lawyer, even if you pass the bar, you don't pass the bar of public opinion. And that's where we come with this guy. Attorney, Andrew F. Branca. This guy has his own opinion on the situation, and he actually got the whole police report and read it for his viewers live. And as I was listening to what he was saying, and mind you, he's a lawyer, okay? Or at least he says he is. His bias was in the way. And I want you guys to tell me if I'm tripping, because he has all this information in front of him, just like Meg and everybody else. And this is the way they frame it.
Or that he needed to move out from under the team's tent, and Anthony grabbed his bag, opened it, and reached inside and proceeded to tell Austin, touch me and see what happens. No one really thought Anthony really had any weapons in his bag, and Austin proceeded to touch Anthony, and then Anthony told Austin to punch him and see what happens. This is provocation with intent, folks.
Told you. Think about it. He just read that Austin verbally told him to move. Karmelo verbally told him, push me, touch me, see what happens. Austin actually ignored that verbal command and touched him. Then he says, punch me. All right, motherfucker, punch me. Now, with this lawyer saying this is provocation, right? I think this is what people don't understand. And this is where I believe DEI comes into effect, because y'all don't know shit about the community. You think because Anthony didn't say, don't touch me, but instead Anthony said, touch me, you feel that is a form of provocation, provoking the situation. Bring it on, is what you're saying. The black community don't talk like that. Some of us do. Hey, don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. But most of us will say things like, touch me and see what happens. Some people will even bluff. They won't even have anything. And they will say, touch me and see what happens. Just to stop the threat. That's to stop the threat, not to bring the threat on. That's not going to work. Sorry, provocation is not going to work.
These are facts I had not heard before. The stabber is provoking the victim to use force for the purpose of being able to inflict deadly force upon him. That's the most severe form of provocation with intent, and loses you self-defense as a legal defense. These are
wrong.
Bad facts for Karmelo Anthony. Austin proceeded to touch Anthony, and then Anthony told Austin to punch him and see what happens.
Look at how they gloss over it. Austin proceeded to touch Anthony, then Anthony said, punch him and see what happens. So that means even after the verbal diffusion, the verbal command, Austin touches him anyway. And instead of, which we wish he didn't do, instead of stabbing him the first time, because this is intent, he came with another verbal command after being physically touched. So if you want to put provocation in your statement, then the first touch, he would have stabbed him. If that's what he was doing. If he was provoking on an attack, he got it right there. Boom. He touched me. Yes. But he didn't. He proceeded with another verbal defense. Please do not touch me. It's not what we're going to say. We're going to say shit like, oh yeah, punch me and see what happens. Touch me again, see what happens. That's how we talk. So don't put us in your boat of what you would have said, because that's not how we talk.
A short time later, Austin grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and Anthony pulled out what the witness recalled as a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest and then ran away.
Think about that. He grabbed him to tell him to move now. Like think about that. And that's when he stabs him. This lawyer's remember, he passed the bar.
Austin began grabbing his chest and telling everyone to get help. You notice he's not instantly dead. It's terrible. I mean, he's mortally wounded. It's all over, but he's got a few seconds to think about things while all the blood is pumped at high velocity out of his body. Telling everyone to get help, the witness advised he did not know Anthony's name, but stated another Memorial Track member was friends with Anthony and he could identify Anthony. Witness described Anthony as a black male, skinny, with a possible goatee, short, puffy hair, wearing Centennial High School clothing. This concluded my contact with the witness. I was then instructed to start a crime log. Nothing further to add.
Now, you see what it says, right? He said it clear as day that, what did he say, skinny? He said Karmelo was a skinny. Let me bring that back because I didn't see where he was, because this is going to be very important to the case.
Witness described Anthony as a black male, skinny, with a possible goatee, short, puffy hair.
Witness described black male Anthony as skinny. Skinny. That is going to be one of the keywords in this whole case. And they don't get it. Mind you, this guy's a lawyer. He's a lawyer. With this key information of Karmelo being skinny, watch what he say.
We have a witness saying that Austin Metcalf grabbed Karmelo Anthony. Is grabbing someone likely to inflict death or serious bodily injury?
Wow. You tell me. This kid who is skinny felt that after being grabbed, that he was going to sustain serious bodily injury. Remember the word skinny.
No, not in this circumstance. Two young men of similar size and strength, athletes.
Huh. Two young men, similar size and strength. Right after he told all of us that witness described Anthony as skinny, he says, nah, with two guys that are the same size, I think their bias is getting in the way of their profession. And they don't care. They don't care. They're like, well, shit. I'm a reputable lawyer, I guess. I don't know him. This is something I came across when I seen that the police report came out and he was going through it live. And I'm just sitting here like, how can the two make sense? Because we all know that we seen the video of Hunter, Austin's brother. That's a big kid. That's a big kid. He towering over his mom. He got to be at least 200 plus. So for you, I don't know. This is alleged. I don't know what he weighs. But for you to say two of those big kids approached this skinny kid, and one of those big kids grabbed him, and the other one said something to him, he didn't fear that he was going to be seriously injured? Come on, man. You're a bad lawyer. Sorry.
Simply grabbing someone is not. Now, might that be an unlawful battery? Sure, I guess you could make that argument that Anthony Metcalf was committing a simple battery.
Of course.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
But it certainly wasn't conduct that was likely to inflict death or serious bodily injury.
Think about that. This is a lawyer. He said, even if you grab somebody, You can make the case of simple battery. That's what he said, clear as day. And he also said, maybe not. Why not? He touched somebody. So in this guy's head, you are allowed to put your hands on somebody. This is a lawyer. And there shouldn't even be, even at minimum, simple battery. No. This is crazy.
And what is required for the lethal use of force in self-defense to be lawful under Texas law? Let's pull it up again. The Texas Deadly Force Self-Defense Statute. For the use of deadly force to be lawful self-defense, the defender here, Karmelo Anthony, had to reasonably believe that the deadly force was immediately necessary to protect against Austin Metcalf's attempted use of unlawful deadly force. Is there any evidence here to support the reasonable perception that Austin Metcalf was threatening unlawful deadly force upon Karmelo Anthony?
This skinny kid. So you're going to, now we don't know because I heard there's a video. The video hasn't came out yet. You're going to say that this skinny kid, because you said he was skinny, did not fear for his life with two big ass white kids coming to him? And I'm going to say it with emphasis because there is a racial element to this. And we don't know if they were being racial. We don't. But the act seemed racial. Because I heard this was a stadium and there's a lot of other people there. So for you to point out this kid and tell this kid to move when we have history of that same event happening to our people, we can literally entertain this racial element. And in your head, you think that this little kid didn't fear for his life. How can you say that? How can you be that person, be like, no, he didn't. He didn't fear for his life. There's no way in hell he could fear for his life. You don't fucking know that.
If anything, there's evidence to suggest that Karmelo Anthony engaged in provocation with intent, deliberately provoking Austin Metcalf to go hands-on for the purpose of having an excuse to use the knife he knew he had in his bag upon Austin Metcalf. See if I can find that quickly again in this thick text. Wonder if I can do a search. Let's see. Here it is. Then Anthony told Karmelo Anthony, the stabber, told Austin to punch him and see what happens.
Right.
That sounds to me like provocation with intent. That loses you self-defense.
And you are a bad lawyer. Read it again. Read it again. It says it right here. And Anthony grabbed his bag, opened it, and reached inside to proceed and tell. Proceed and tell. You see that? Tell. He didn't do nothing yet. He told him. He told Austin. He proceeded to tell Austin, touch me and see what happens. Sorry, that's not provocation. That's saying, hey, leave me alone. Leave me the fuck alone. Sorry. Horrible lawyer. And now, this is what I mean by so many different takes on it. Because we have cases that some folks have gotten off when it came down to stand your ground, right? And some people didn't. And you really got to understand why we say there's a racial element behind all of this. Because we have, I'm going to show you, two different cases. I'm gonna show you these two different cases, right? Of course, everybody's gonna say, "Oh, this had nothing to do with it. Oh, this was at a school." And mind you, it wasn't at a school. This was a place, a stadium that I think they sold beer. I don't know. It's a concession stand, but we ain't gonna go there, right? But I know there's gonna be a lot of people saying that these two cases have nothing to do with this one, and I am going to tell you you're a motherfucking lie. These two cases that I'm getting ready to present are stand your ground cases, right? Now, you tell me. I'm going to tell you first. I agree that this was self-defense in both cases. Not one of them. Both of them. But you take a look at these two cases and you tell me which one you think is self-defense and which one you think is not.
A disagreement over child custody arrangements has ended in death. The argument escalated and a father was shot. The man who pulled the trigger says it was self-defense. We should warn you, the video is disturbing.
It's an argument that is about to lead to one man's death.
Where's my son?
54-year-old Chad Reed is picking up his son from his ex-wife's house. Christina Reed and her new boyfriend are telling him to leave. Then the boyfriend goes inside the house in Lubbock, Texas. The argument between the exes heats up.
I'll go get him. I'm supposed to have him at
3:15. Now, y'all remember this case, right? This guy went to go pick up his son. Son wasn't there. He wanted to know where his son was at. Wife said, "I'm about to go get him." He still wanted issues.
15. I get him at 3:15. If you want to see him, you see him up until 3:15.
Suddenly, the boyfriend comes out. He's got a rifle.
Do it right. You never use it.
The two men go chest to chest. They struggle for the weapon. Kyle Carruth fires into the ground. Then,
boom, he fired into the ground. That is a warning. He fired into the ground after the man grabbed it the first time. Then he gives a warning shot. You better stop. Leave me alone. And he didn't. The threat continued.
and he turns and fires 2 more shots.
Oh my God! I have it on video, Kyle.
Told you. I told all of y'all to leave.
The dead man's widow just released the...
Now look at this. Look at how big he is, right? Look how big he is compared to that guy with the gun, right? That was key in this case. So for that other lawyer to say, oh, Karmelo, the skinny kid, how the heck did he fear for his life? This guy with a weapon feared for his.
The video. She told GMA that she never could have imagined she would be recording her own husband's death.
I thought it was like a stun gun or a taser gun or something. Like, who's going to bring out? They're having a discussion about a custody thing.
The shooting is reminding many of the Kyle Rittenhouse case. He claimed self-defense and was acquitted. The boyfriend in Texas, identified as Kyle Carruth, is also claiming self-defense. We asked legal analyst Royal Oakes to look at the video.
When you're going nose to nose, chest to chest with somebody who's so much bigger than you, he literally swings you around 360 degrees, then he grabs your gun, I would take that self-defense case to a jury 7 days a week.
Well, lawyer, whatever the hell your name was, this guy said verbatim, a guy that's towering you, he's bigger than you, and he swings you around. In Karmelo's case, he was grabbed. Not once, but twice. Then pushed. He didn't get spent around 360. I don't know. That wasn't the claim. But this guy, the lawyer said the dude tried to grab his gun. Like, he would take this Self-defense case any time of the day. 7 days a week, he would take this case. Now, what's his name? I want to see. I forgot. What's his name? Sorry.
Carruth has not been arrested. The shooting is still under investigation.
He has not been arrested. Think about that. Think about that. The police did not arrest him after shooting somebody. That's what we're saying. Now let's see something. Was Kyle Carruth convicted? Special grand jury declined to indict Kyle Carruth. Wow. He did no time. None. No time. Now, you want to ask me, what do I think? I think that was self-defense. Yes. Sorry. You come on his property, you trying to grab his gun, you're towering over him. He gives you a warning. Multiple warnings. One was verbal, one was a shot, a warning shot, and you still advance the threat. Crazy, huh? Now, let's take you to another story where we have Marcus Wilson, right? Marcus Wilson, he was the guy who was driving on the highway, and this truck pulled up to him, yelling racial slurs, trying to run him off the road, right? And Marcus decided to take his legally owned firearm, fire some shots into the car, and took a life. Let's see, because he claimed the same thing, self-defense. Let's see how this case went.
We begin tonight with the guilty verdict for Marcus Wilson in the shooting death of 17-year-old Haley Hutchison in June of 2020. A Boulder County jury handed down their decision earlier today after nearly 8 hours of deliberation over the past 2 days. WSAV's Brian Ray has been following this trial from jury selection until today's verdict. He joins us now from outside the courthouse.
Guilty verdict. It was a guilty verdict. This motherfucker was being chased by a whole bunch of white supremacists with the car. He was in the car. They were in the truck. They tried to run him off the road. He fired shots back. One girl lost her life, and he was found guilty. No self-defense, no nothing. No he couldn't claim stand your ground or nothing. Think about that. And there's a lot of time where black folks put themselves in some stupid ass predicament. It's like multiple people, 1, 2, 3 of them, right? Let's say they on a high-speed chase. Next thing you know, car crash, or the cops. Let's say the cops shoot one of the kids, one of the assailants, kill him. They would charge the driver. They would charge one of the surviving suspects with the murder. But in this case, the driver that was chasing down Marcus gets nothing. No charge, no nothing. Marcus actually found guilty when he was defending himself. It's crazy. Shit is crazy.
Well, Ben, the jury found Wilson not guilty of the original charges in the indictment, including felony murder and 5 counts of aggravated assault. But they did find him guilty of involuntary manslaughter. That's a lesser charge that was added to the jury's instructions before deliberating.
Haley had a very loving family. She was very much loved. She was so special to us, and not a day goes by that we don't think about her, and she will forever live on in our hearts and in our memories.
Haley Hutchison's mother, Allison, says her family has been waiting more than 2 years for justice in her death and feels they got it Wednesday afternoon.
What Mark Wilson did was a crime, and we hope this will be a message to others in the community that you can't take the law into your own hands and just shoot people like this. And what he did was wrong, and we're just very grateful from the bottom of our hearts.
It's also an emotional day for Marcus Wilson's family, crying as a guilty verdict came in shortly after 1 o'clock Wednesday. The state argued Wilson's use of force was not justified, while defense claimed Wilson fired his gun in self-defense.
Mark Wilson, if he had presented as a white man, And if those occupants of that truck were black, Mark Wilson would have been given a medal.
Yep.
And not a prosecution.
Yep.
Both defense and the state agreed to add the lesser charges, something prosecutors say was done to give the jury more options. But defense attorneys say their request to also add a misdemeanor involuntary manslaughter charge was denied.
We think that if that option had been included, as we asked and insisted, that this jury would have found Mark guilty of the misdemeanor version of manslaughter. And he'd be coming home.
Exactly. Think about that. Now, I said, I think both cases was self-defense. Why Marcus was found guilty? Because of his race. That's just what it is. I don't give a fuck about your feelings and calling us race baiters, because I already tried that shit. This is real life situations that we have to deal with. We have to deal with this shit. And for y'all to not understand that for us to sit here and witness clear cases of self-defense, and for us to be on that side and see a white man get off, the police don't even initially arrest him. We're like, why the same rules don't apply? Why? Why? We all know about the George Zimmerman case. Trayvon Martin was minding his own business. He actually paid for the Skittles that he had. He didn't steal anything. All this whole neighborhood watch that they said George Zimmerman was doing mean nothing to a kid that was contributing to the community by purchasing items at a store. Next thing you know, he initiated the contact. George Zimmerman initiated the contact, and he didn't want it with that kid. Trayvon Martin whooped his ass. Whooped his ass. And then we all know what happened. George Zimmerman did what he did, claimed self-defense, and got off. We know these cases. Kyle Rittenhouse. We know these cases. They're talking about the GoFundMe of Anthony raising so much. Kyle Rittenhouse raised like $2 million. We know these cases. We have to sit here and watch these cases. And for y'all to sit back and say those rules don't apply to us, you got us fucked up in a real way. And I'm glad that we have a lot of people out there that's fighting back, because I don't care who you are. If you have your own platform, if you're just a Twitter finger beast that just want to go around and start trolling people, we need all warriors at ready. We need them, because they are trying to railroad this kid and paint this narrative that even with this narrative, they're trying to paint all of us as this community of evil. And we need to fight back. So, we got my boy. He not playing no games with none of y'all. He knows what the narrative is that it's trying to be painted about this black baby, this athlete, this college star. Sorry, he gets it. And he's saying, y'all got life fucked up if you think you're going to continue to be hypocrites.
Charles, we just watched a segment here discussing the tragic loss of life of a young high school student in Frisco, Texas at a track meet. And watching that newscast, it upsets me because that newscast is full of damn lies. This is a tragic situation where a young man lost his life, yes. But young Karmelo Anthony, in this case, the young man who's been charged with murder, he did not assault anyone in the beginning. He didn't start this fight. The young man approached him with his brother, threatening Karmelo to move out of a spot that was not assigned to anybody. Where Karmelo was sitting, he had a right to be sitting. There was no assigned seating anywhere in the stadium that excluded students from sitting in certain areas.
Exactly. And that's what the people keep saying. Oh, Why was he there? He wasn't even supposed to be sitting right there. Says who? The tent? Motherfucker's a stadium. A lot of people there. I heard one of the witnesses who was a father. He was there with his kids. Like the bleachers, Megan, doesn't have people's names on them. Anybody could be there. But this is how they're trying to frame it. Oh, this black kid wasn't even supposed to be there.
Then when they went to Karmelo, he was threatened by both brothers.
Both brothers.
And he told them, don't put your hands on me.
Don't put your
hands. And they threatened to put their hands on him. And he told them, if you put your hands on me, watch what happens. The white kid, in this case, punched Karmelo in the face. He didn't push him. He punched him in the face.
Wait a minute. He punched him. Now, I don't know. That's just what Quanell X is saying. I asked earlier in the video, if there's evidence that come out that state that Austin punched him, would y'all call this justified self-defense or not? Let's see. I don't know. But he said that he was actually hit.
And then that young man defended himself, and unfortunately, a young student lost his life.
Right.
But Charles, in the state of Texas, you have a right to stand your ground.
Yep.
And if you are the victim of a vicious attack, you can use deadly force if necessary to protect yourself and your life, to stop you from becoming a further victim of an assault or a crime.
That's true.
Why is this young man in jail when he didn't start it? He didn't approach anyone. They approached him. They used profane language toward him. They threatened him and then assaulted him, and he defended himself. Why is he in jail? He's defended himself from a vicious attack and assault. So this young man, in my opinion, should not be in jail. Teach your children. Keep your hands to yourself.
Simple. That's how, you see how when Megan and them framed it, oh, he started it. No, sweetheart. Everybody knows that the twins were the initial aggressors. And one of them, out of the two, decided to be physical. Teach your kids to keep their fucking hands to themselves.
That's what needs to be taught here. And to tell this young brother to give up your seat, give me your seat, this ain't no damn Rosa Parks era.
Nope.
You just can't go to a young black man and say, give up your seat.
Nope.
He had a right to sit there.
Exactly.
And so that brother had his back of the bus moment and refused to give up his seat, and it cost that young white kid his life.
Simple.
I rarely say this, Quanell. I sometimes internalize it, but shame on you.
Shame.
How absolutely despicable for you to sit here and try to draw this false equivalency between Rosa Parks and this scumbag murderer.
Think about that. Innocent until proven guilty, right? At least that's what y'all said. He called him a scumbag murderer. Just like when I asked if evidence come out that he was punched, would you guys retract your statement? If evidence come out that he was defending himself, all you people that called Karmelo a murderer, I think you guys are subject to a lawsuit. There's no alleged murderer. There's no possible murderer. No, you guys are trying to paint this kid as a murderer. And mind you, I know defamation. I'm no lawyer, but I know defamation. And you guys are committing a lot of harm with that claim of calling him a murderer. You are. Sorry.
Right? Shame on you for living a life defined by make-believe racial grievance that you seek a pulpit to lie to people. And let's talk about those lies. Even if you assume everything that is coming out of the Karmelo Anthony camp, even if you assume all of that is true, under the laws of the state of Texas, he is still absolutely guilty of murder, period. Like, you can assume all the fabrications are true. It's still murder, right? You do not have a right to use deadly force in response to a shove or a punch. Now, mind you, all the witness statements are saying it was a shove that was goaded, but let's assume everyone's lying and this murderer is telling the truth. You still can't, because the scenario, what you're advocating for, and pulling Rosa Parks into, is that every time someone walks through a club and someone shoves them or bumps them, you can pull out a knife and stab them in the heart and kill them. And I have no doubt that more is going to come out of Karmelo Anthony, that more evidence are there.
And that's how they frame it. Oh, it wasn't even that big of a deal. It's just like somebody going in the club and push you and y'all think that you can just get stabbed to death. No. Sorry. Even though I disagree with Tim Pool a lot, it's just like what he said. If you're at a club or a party and somebody is fucking with you and you warn him, leave me alone, and you don't want to leave him alone, you advance the threat. There's a saying called closing the distance. That's advancing the threat. If this don't work, if me just showing you that I'm armed does not work, I'm sorry. This is going to be self-defense. So you're 110% incorrect.
Rumors that I don't want to regurgitate.
Oh, please do.
No. Let's talk about what has been sold. That you sent me this weekend when we were discussing it. You sent me the statement by the police chief that turned out to be just fabricated. Somebody out there making believe the FBI is now involved, right? And that people are regurgitating all over social media. And it's all driven on racial lines. You are the one that was calling for Daniel Penny to go to prison for life. Now, mind you, we have this new spectacular game in America, right, where we play.
Everybody try to use this Daniel Penny situation as if it doesn't apply. Y'all don't get what we're saying. This is what we're saying. When Daniel Penny did what he did on that subway, choking out somebody that was not a threat to him, right? He was someone that was mentally ill, that was going through something, and was just yelling on the train how hungry he was, and he was ready to die and kill somebody for it, right? Now, Daniel Penny, who is a veteran, decided to choke him out, right? Mind you, a lot of these people talk about proportionality. You heard Megan, proportionality. As a trained veteran, I guess, choking out someone who is perceived a threat because of what he said, he didn't do nothing. He ain't touched nobody like Austin. He didn't approach nobody, put his hands on him. He verbally said something, right? He just verbally came out with a vague threat of, I'm about to fucking whatever, right? Daniel Penny chokes him out and kills him. Everybody calls Daniel Penny a hero. How is Daniel Penny a hero if he killed someone who had no weapon? Mind you, you guys said, oh, you had somebody, what did he say? Somebody said that you had to be punched in the face. Actually, you got to get hit first. What? Daniel Penny didn't even get touched. Oh, it has to be deadly harm to you. You have to really feel like there's going to be he had no weapon. So yes, when we have to sit here and watch these cases that you guys fight for, when it's clear that someone lost their life unjustly, then give us that same respect. If you can build a defense for someone in the eyes of self-defense, because some things you've seen may have not been okay. Maybe Daniel Penny did fear for his life. We didn't know what he had. That's the claim. Daniel Penny's a hero. We don't know what could have happened if Daniel Penny didn't step in. But y'all want Karmelo to just wait for the threat to happen.
White man always bad and evil, black man always good, no matter what happens. The truth is, my feelings on this, if it was a white young man who brought a knife to school, went to someone else's tent, started being a jackleg, refused to move out, and then pulled out a knife and jabbed it in someone's heart, I would call him a murderer. And if a white kid did exactly what Karmelo Anthony did to a black kid, you would be out here marching in the streets.
Oh, no, I would not be.
Burning
George Zimmerman with the Trayvon Martin and put his hands on that kid who was doing nothing wrong. And you same white folks found George Zimmerman not guilty of murder when Trayvon was defending himself. Right here in Texas, you've had many cases where white men have been assaulted by black men. They use deadly force and they're not charged.
Why are you talking about something else?
You cannot tell me.
Why are you lying about my position, you despicable, shameless liar?
He was assaulted.
Despicable,
That young man was assaulted. He was threatened more than one time. He was asked to move from an area he had a right to sit in. He didn't approach nobody. He didn't threaten nobody. That young man, after being threatened continuously 3 times in a row, was punched in the face. He had a right to defend himself. So don't tell me that this young man can be threatened multiple times and physically punched and assaulted, and he ain't got a right to put his hands in self-defense on the person assaulting him. And he can use whatever force is necessary to stop the attack.
Why do you just lie
brought up Daniel
all the
Penny.
time?
You brought up Daniel Penny.
I did.
Daniel Penny choked a young man to death on the subway. But that young man, he hadn't assaulted anybody. He was making threats, but he physically didn't touch anyone. This case was threats backed up by a physical attack and assault that this young man put on that young black brother.
Exactly. That's what I said. Like, y'all close your eyes. It's like, no. Yeah, I hear you, but no, that's not what I see. Like, bro, y'all can literally go word for word with the witness statement. Austin and his brother told him, and then Austin grabbed him, and then Austin pushed him, and then Austin did it. You can literally say it with a straight fucking face. And then say, Karmelo wasn't supposed to do nothing. You guys are sick. I'm sorry. We wish that the outcome wasn't what it was. Yes. But if you can rally behind the George Zimmermans and the fucking Daniel Pennies, why y'all won't shut the fuck up?
That young black brother had a right to defend himself when he was beyond threatened but viciously attacked.
Well, there's another key difference, right? Mr. Penny, right, had a crazy guy going up and screaming and yelling and threatening to kill people, an unhinged guy that should have probably been in a hospital.
The same thing the white boy did to Karmelo Anthony.
You know, not screaming over you. Let me finish. Right? And Daniel Penny, not using a deadly weapon, restrained him. And I said from the very beginning, there's a real question about where the line was drawn and what he did and if he was alive. Now, the medical examiner came out and they said it turns out that the fellow was still alive when Mr. Penny let him go. But that was a very nuanced situation. But here's a big nuance. I mean, something that you're ignoring is it didn't involve a deadly weapon. But let's talk about examples. So Daniel Penny put up a GoFundMe and it got taken down. Oh, it can't be up, right? The Anthony family, the wonderful Anthony family that raised this murderer, did such a wonderful job, this defender, right, of liberty, this new Rosa Parks for 2025, as you call him.
See? He don't know shit about Karmelo Anthony. But it doesn't matter. He's a young black kid. He has to be raised in a dysfunctional family. That's how he said it. Oh, his parents raised this wonderful murderer. That's how they look at us. Fatherless homes, dysfunctional family, welfare system, ghetto hood rats. I heard that Austin's parents separated. What about that fatherless home? I don't know.
They put a GoFundMe up for $100,000. It didn't get taken down. The moment, minutes after it got the $100,000, they jacked it up for more money because it's all just a con.
George
it's
Zimmerman
all just
raised
a
$1 million that was donated to him after killing Trayvon Martin. Kyle Rittenhouse, after he killed 2 people in cold blood, he raised over $1 million. Wait a minute.
Let's
the
talk about
officer
that.
who killed Michael Brown, he raised almost $2 million. So don't tell me that when black folks decide to put money and support behind a young brother who didn't start a fight, who didn't threaten nobody, who was sitting where he could have right to be sitting, was threatened more than one time, was physically attacked, he defends himself, and then all of a sudden he's in jail for murder. But guess what, brother? We gonna stand behind ours like you white folks stand behind yours.
Simple. Gloves are off.
That young brother was attacked.
I know you're yelling because you really get worked up when you're lying.
Bullshit.
But let me
bullshit.
Let me say very clear.
But then it's justified.
Us killing
but
y'all.
we defend ourselves.
Now,
it's
what we
said.
Let's
hell with that.
Firstly, George Zimmerman, absolutely a murderer. The officer that shot Michael Brown, there's evidence that Michael Brown attacked him. The question is, there's also some evidence that he was running away that was refuted. That's a very weird situation.
So he's running away. Wait a minute. Michael Brown deserved to die because he was running away? All right.
Simplifies wall cops.
But this young man attacked Karmelo Anthony.
Hold on, Mr. Liar in Chief.
No, you're a liar.
No, I'm not
going to white folk hate when black folks defend
your defense is falling apart, bro.
He was prosecuted. It failed.
And white folks found him not guilty. All white
jury. He was absolutely a murderer, in my opinion. I disagreed with that outcome, just like I disagree with the officer that murdered Tamir Rice, not facing charges.
Okay.
Found not guilty.
You act
found not guilty,
he was
though.
Never charged.
And that's the problem. Y'all don't understand that your fucking opinions don't goddamn matter. They don't. They don't. You have no position in power. We don't give a fuck if you can sit back and be like, oh, yeah, that's fucked up. I disagree. I think George Zimmerman is a murderer. Yay, but the people in power don't. The whole America don't. The officers didn't even arrest the cop. He wasn't even indicted, the cop that killed Tamir Rice. Like, we don't care if you can sit back and be like, oh, think about that. Think about that. This white man said that, oh, I agree. The Trayvon Martin situation and the Tamir Rice situation was wrong. I disagree with the outcome. Okay, but we can't disagree with the outcome when we know why the outcome is the outcome? You don't want to say it, that there was a racial element between these decisions, but we know that there was. You can just literally be like, oh, well, yeah, I think he was guilty, but hey, that's how the system is. No, sorry. You can't play both sides. Because if that's how the system is, shut up. Because a lot of us is claiming self-defense for this baby. And I think that's what it is. When you got all this evidence showing that he was not the initial aggressor, go off the evidence. Don't try to create a scenario. Go off of the evidence. He was touched multiple times before the stabbing took place. So, sorry, we're not going to sit back and watch the George Zimmermans get off and not say, well, you guys built the case for Karmelo Anthony's defense. Sorry, you did.
The jury said not guilty, let him go.
Here's the thing. You act like all white people have this one opinion. What we're only seeing in America right now is the only thing we see is the brazenness of some people. Obviously, it's not everyone that racialize every incident, and they look at it through the prism of race, right? And for you, if you flip-flop the races here, you would be screaming about the entire different thing, and I'd be agreeing with you that was wrong. But you make all of your decisions based on race. Then you lie and scream and talk.
Assessment
no, it's
here.
not an assessment.
Because there's a white victim in this case.
I'm
sorry, Charles. He didn't start a fight. He didn't threaten anybody.
Well, actually,
Karmelo Anthony did not threaten anybody.
Very clear.
I've talked to witnesses. I've talked to the family. I've talked to the grandfather.
Which family?
Karmelo Anthony's family.
Exactly.
And I've talked to his family.
You're getting paid.
See?
And gotten details. Not a penny.
You see what I mean? He said he talked to Carmelo's family. This motherfucker accuses him of being paid. Like, think about that. Think about that. Think about that. Think about that. Austin's family has been on the news multiple times. Multiple times. We have their side. We're all speculating on the Anthony's family side, Karmelo's family side, right? He says, yeah, I spoke with witnesses and the family. Witnesses and the family. And this motherfucker says, what, are you being paid? Why are you over there talking to them? This is a family of a murderer. Why do you even care? Let them rot. You got to be getting paid. There's an incentive. You wouldn't be talking to these people. Oh, you're biased. You only want to hear that side. No, we want to hear that side too.
Not a penny. But guess what?
Deal.
I'll say this to you.
Say it.
Not only am I not getting paid, I'm sending some of my money to his defense fund.
Okay. Bam,
because
nigga.
that young
now
brother
what?
deserves an adequate and thorough defense, and I'm donating to it, and I pray others do also.
So if he has such a valid defense, why are there so many lies swirling around in the slurry of social media that first it was that there was past encounters between these brothers and Mr. Anthony and his girlfriend, that they robbed Mr. Anthony, that they attacked him and beat him up, and he was looking at his life was threatened. When none of it occurred, there's very detailed witness accounts that are available.
But there's all kinds of lies going on.
And he's right. There is a lot of, in the beginning of this, there was a lot of misinformation going on about Karmelo and Austin knowing each other prior. But there was also lies told by Austin's brother. There was lies told about where he was when his brother was bleeding out. There was lies told about the initial approach. Who said what to who? So if you're going to point out inconsistencies of people's, especially the ones on social media that have nothing to do with this, you didn't see most of Karmelo's family has been quiet. So everybody that has something to say online, they might not have a direct relationship to the Anthony family. So to even use that as a pun, like, look at all these lies being told about the case. So how the hell is Anthony even innocent with all these lies being told? Bro, that's social media. But when the actual family of Austin lies, where's your venom?
There are all kind of lies going on.
Actually, there's not, right?
Now, what about this one?
So I read it.
Now, this young
I'm
man
not
was
finished.
killed.
You can yell. I
Hold
can
on,
yell
dude.
too. No, you interrupted
you
me.
opening your mouth to me
you've
like
been
that.
yelling at
Don't
me the
fight
whole
me.
time.
You
You've been
white
yelling
folks
the whole
are
time.
reaping what you sow.
White folks.
You're reaping what you sow.
You white folks.
You reaping what you sow.
So what?
Tell him. What the fuck is that going to do to me? Who are you yelling at? Calm your ass down before you have a stroke. It's not going to work. The fuck is wrong with you? You're reaping what you sow. Simple as that. Your defense is why we're here. When you can sit there and call him a murderer without due process is the reason why we are having this back and forth. You think you raising your fucking voice is going to matter to us? No. Calm down, sweetheart. That shit don't fucking work. You're just going to work yourself up to a defeat.
Why didn't Austin Metcalf deserve to get murdered in your book?
When he threatened more than once.
Okay.
When he approached
What did he say?
Let me finish.
What did he say?
When he threatened
How did he threaten
that if he did not give up his seat, what he was going to do.
What did he say
When
he
he
was going to do?
threatened that young man
What did he say?
that if you don't move, I'm going to punch you in your face.
Okay.
2. 3, when he decided that he was going to take his hand, punch that innocent kid in the face who didn't threaten him, who was not breaking any laws, who was not violating no school policies or procedures. When he did that, he crossed the line.
He was violating.
And it
Crossed the
gave Karmelo Anthony the right to defend himself.
Defend himself.
Karmelo Anthony was not the instigator. He was not the initial aggressor. The instigator, the threatener, and the initial aggressor, Mr. Metcalf, died. He brought that on himself.
Okay. That's a disgusting take.
No.
Right? But you said he wasn't breaking any rules.
Think about that. He didn't say that Austin deserved to die. No. That's what he wanted him to say. That's how he framed the question. Oh, so you just think Austin deserved to die? No. I'm saying Austin did this, Austin did that, Austin did this and that, and Karmelo had the right to defend himself. You still called it disgusting? Like, bro, we literally don't care. That's why a lot of people they got more gloves off than me. They're saying some crazy shit about the Austin's family. Like, we don't have to stoop to their level. But y'all not about to win this battle here. Nope. You can yell all you want. You can create all the racist memes you want. Both sides are doing it. But it's not going to work when it comes down to the actual law of self-defense. Sorry, he's gonna get off.
Rules. Was it a violation of school policy to come to the track meet armed with a deadly weapon?
So now,
yes or no?
Wait a minute.
Yes or no?
It was that kind of knife.
No?
It was that kind of knife.
Yes or no?
It was not that kind of knife.
Well, what kind of knife was it?
That's the lie being told.
No.
It was not no butcher knife, no kitchen knife. It wasn't no buck knife. It wasn't that kind of knife.
What kind of knife was it?
See, I'm going to be quiet right now. It's going to come out.
Oh,
those knives that he used were the same ones they used to help put them tents up.
Okay. So he was armed with a knife.
Oh, everybody, a lot of kids had those knives putting those tents up. It's a custom knife.
Now, I don't know if this is true. But if what Quanell X said was true, this changes the story completely. If those knives were the knives used to put the tents up, then that means it was issued to him by someone else, maybe an adult. If that is the case, Quanell, I don't know, I wasn't there, but if those knives are the knives they used to put the tents up, that means other kids had those knives. Hold on. Even worse, or even sad. Oh, even more sad. This is just me speculating. If those knives were the knives that they used to put those tents up and Karmelo was issued one of those knives by someone who needed Karmelo's help to put up a tent, then maybe Karmelo was there working before everything happened. It was raining, I heard. How ironic would it be if Karmelo actually put up Austin's tent? Huh. Shit.
That they put those tents up. He didn't bring no weapon like that.
Are you allowed to carry a knife at school?
Charles, it was not that type of weapon.
Okay. Was it a knife
at
or
all,
not?
Charles. It was something that they used to help erect tents.
Okay. Who told you this?
All of them. Let me say, see, Charles, I'm not going to get too deep into that.
I get
point.
that. So
all that shit about bringing a knife on the school camp. Look, I don't know if this is true. I don't. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it straight up. But if that is true, that's key evidence. Key evidence in the case.
Karmelo been in trouble before for carrying a weapon at school?
I don't know anything about that.
You don't know anything about it. Okay, so we can agree, though,
it doesn't matter.
that it is in fact a violation of policy to have a deadly weapon at a track meet. Yes
Charles,
or no? Yes or no? Can we agree to that?
He didn't bring that type of weapon.
Okay.
He did not.
Did he have a weapon hidden in his backpack?
He used a weapon to defend himself,
Did he
Charles.
open up his backpack?
He used a weapon to defend himself.
I dare you to touch me.
No, Charles.
Well, so
he had a right to do that.
Oh, well, really?
He wasn't wrong.
Really?
If you in my face threaten to do bodily harm to me, if you threaten me over and over to do bodily harm to me, and then you punch me in my face, because he got a right to use whatever force necessary to stop that attack.
So what you're saying is if it turns out that everyone that was there that gave witness statements that have been published, if they weren't lying and he didn't punch him in the face, right? If they didn't threaten him with physicality, he didn't punch him in his face, do you still think that murder?
Whoa, slow down. That ain't gonna work. because multiple witness statements already said that he didn't threaten him with physicality. He touched him. Slow down.
Was okay. I've talked to two
do you
students.
still think that murder was okay?
Deeper. I've talked to 2 students who were right there, Caucasian students.
Okay.
And they told me, yes, he was punched in the face. I'm not going to name them.
Okay,
but those 2
because you're
students,
lying to Fox Soul.
you are damn.
He made sure to say that they were Caucasian students.
No, I'm not.
I talked to those 2 students.
You were the same person.
They admitted that he punched that boy in the face after threatening him.
You are the same person that sent me this narrative along with a false police chief statement.
That was put out there before the public, yes.
Right? The thing is, you are just regurgitating lies that are all designed that you wouldn't. And my whole problem is not that you're. My whole problem
if
is
he
not.
punched him in the face.
My whole problem.
So if he threatened him and punched him, was that self-defense?
No, it's still not a Texas.
So if
you want me to tell
you threaten that kid over and over and punch him in the face, you can't use no force necessary to stop that attack. So Texas don't have a standing ground law.
Do you want
Texas don't have a standing ground law?
Not in that context.
Oh,
no.
stop it,
I think
Charles.
you misunderstand it.
No,
if
he got a standing ground law, Charles, and he stood his ground.
Okay, you're lying.
He stood his ground.
They don't even understand Texas stand your ground. They don't even understand stand your ground. They don't even get it. They just like, no, he doesn't. It doesn't apply. Just say it. Just say it. The Second Amendment doesn't apply to us. Nothing applies to us. That's just how y'all look at things. So yeah, when you can see, as I shown in this video, white man getting off for using self-defense as a form of defense, the stand your ground as a form of defense, then we have to laugh at y'all when you use this much energy to find one of us guilty of murder when we defend ourselves. It's done. We're laughing. It's laughable.
I don't know for sure, although I know you're a very intelligent man, so I think you're knowingly lying as opposed to just.
No, you
but
just
my
don't like
problem,
putting the wrong
my
truth
real
in your
problem
face.
with this is not that you're wrong about Texas law. My real problem with this is that this incident has made it glaringly clear that you are willing to take whatever position you have to take, irrespective of the truth, based purely on skin color, and that's repugnant in Texas, right? So let me educate you. About self-defense.
Oh, shit.
He did not have the option to escalate to the use of a deadly weapon and deadly force in response to any sort of just shove or even if it was a punch, right? You can't pull out a gun and shoot someone that punches you.
So what can you do if you get punched?
Hold on. In
Texas.
You're going to punch them back. You can shove them back. No, it's true.
You got a right to stop the aggressor.
No, you don't have a right to use
stand
deadly
your
force.
ground and stop the aggressor.
So you think that we live in a state where every time someone shoves or punches someone, the other person can pull out a gun or a knife and kill them?
This is what I believe.
It's called stand your ground. It's a term used to define, basically, you don't have to flee. You don't have to run away. You can stay right there and defend yourself. Like I said earlier, this law is written behind bodily harm or sudden death. So that's why it's written that way. We wouldn't write laws around fights like that. We write laws when someone is using deadly force. So if there is a law that says you can literally use deadly force if you feel like your life is in danger, then you don't get to tell somebody you have to use your hands. It literally wouldn't be a law.
Yes or no?
This is what I believe.
No, you're going to lie.
That if you go up to someone and you threaten them, continuously threaten them, and then you follow up on that threat and physically attack them and assault them, they got a right to use whatever force is necessary to stop the aggressor. That's what I believe. And that's what took place in this case.
So here's a truth for you. If you have to make stuff up to justify what you're arguing, you don't have an argument, right? And the truth is, the scenario, the Texas and America that you're arguing for, and you're only arguing for it because the murderer is black, right? If the murderer was white and the victim was black, you'd be leading marches in the street. People would be burning stuff down. But that's a whole different deal. You want an America, and you can't even see the slippery slope. You want an America where every time someone punches somebody on a campus, at an airport, and wherever, if they can get their hands on a deadly weapon, they can open up their bag and say, hey, you better not touch me or else, and then shove a knife in someone's heart or shoot a gun through their chest. That's the America you want.
No, that's not what he said. We live in an America where if someone's being threatening to your safety, you can stop the threat. That's the America we live in. And with this particular case, Karmelo attempted to stop the threat multiple times. And the little angry white kid did not want to stop. So we have an America that allows you to stop a threat that cannot be stopped by itself. That's what that's what Quanell is saying. Sorry.
An America to where if you are not a double standard America, not a two-system of justice America,
all you want.
Not laws for white folks or black folks.
Right.
What I want is an America that says, if you go up to somebody who's not doing anything wrong to you, who's not threatening you, and you start threatening them, and then you follow up those threats by physically attacking them, they got a right to use whatever force that is necessary to stop that assault and that aggressor.
Right.
That's the America that I want.
But
unfortunately, whenever black people or black men do that to a white person, it's justified. Whenever a white person kills a black person, just thinking they were threatened, it's justified. So, you said on this show, and you said Daniel Penny was not guilty. You said on this show and said Daniel Penny should be found not guilty, that it was wrong that he be charged. And the young man that he choked to death did not physically assault Daniel Penny at all. He was threatening somebody else, and Daniel Penny intervened and choked him to death. So how in the hell can you sit here right now and say that a young man who was threatened over and over, as Karmelo Anthony was, and was punched, that he doesn't have a right to defend himself? Because in the other case, Mr. Penny is white, and in this case, Daniel, in this case, Karmelo Anthony is black.
Actually, it was you that took the opposite position. I took the same position, right? That you have to look at when you have a claim of self-defense, you have to look at the immediate facts and what happened and talk about it.
Shut up, nigga. You see how his tone changed, though? That nigga, he calmed all that shit the fuck down. Shut up. No, it ain't gonna work, bro.
Especially one where you have a physical force, a restraint that led to a death. It turned out the testimony during the trial was that and I forget his name, he was still alive when law enforcement got there. So it contravenes the narrative that his death was caused by the chokehold. Now, I don't know. I didn't sit on the jury. And then it comes down to the reasonable use of non-deadly force, right? He was restraining him, and the question was to restrain too much. It's a very nuanced question, and that was my position. You want to make everything black or white because you're alive, but I'm not finished.
Is it a crime to threaten somebody with physical harm?
Again, there is no evidence.
You a lawyer, based on witness testimony, Charles, is it a crime in Texas to threaten somebody with physical harm? Yes or no?
It is a class. Let me.
Okay.
I'll let you go on.
Yes or no, sir?
Yes or no?
It is a traffic ticket level.
Okay. Now wait a minute. Is it also a crime to physically attack someone who's no threat to you whatsoever?
It is a crime to assault people. It'd be class C.
So did Mr. Metcalf die in the commission of a crime?
Okay. Again. You don't have a right
answer the question.
Did he die committing a crime?
Well, I don't know. In
so
fact,
if he physically attacked that kid first,
what the witness statements are.
Crime.
Okay, but
y'all bias is so fucking hilarious, bro. You can literally sit there and contradict yourself in the same minute. It's only 60 seconds in a minute. And in that same 60 seconds, you can say, yeah, that's a traffic ticket type of offense. Yeah, that can be looked at as a crime. Yeah. No, I don't think that he can be. I don't think he did a crime when he was doing what. Like, bro. This was self-defense. Y'all feelings can go that way.
The witness statements are that he told him that, in fact, that Karmelo Anthony went under the tent and was harassing people. He asked him to leave.
Mr. You see? Nobody said that. What witness statement said that Karmelo was going around harassing people? This is what he just said. Hold on, I got to bring that back. Hold on. Did his dumb ass really say that? Did he say that?
He told him that, in fact, that Karmelo Anthony went under the tent and was harassing people. He asked him to leave and then harassing. There was a shove.
Died. Oh, that motherfucker flailing. Oh, I heard that Karmelo was harassing people. Shut the fuck up. No, you didn't. Nobody heard that. You just see. Him and Meghan Kelly, they want this to go their way so bad that they will offer information to this case that have never been risen in order for people to be like, wait, Karmelo was harassing people? What? And then Meghan's going, he was sitting in Austin's seat. What's wrong with y'all? No.
In the commission of committing
Karmelo
a crime.
Anthony is a disgusting murderer.
No, he's not.
Calling him a disgusting murderer
not.
if he was
is
white.
a victim of an attack.
Marching, burning, and...
I'm going to be honest. The Anthony family should sue. Now, you got to wait. Let's see if information come out and he's found to be an innocent child that defended himself. Everybody that called him a murderer need to be sued for defamation. Yes, because they are saying this shit just openly, freely. So let them feel it. Fuck them. Gloves are off. This situation, this case right here is very polarizing. And if you guys don't want to understand the dynamics of debunking some of these racial stereotypes, we're going to lose this one. We are, because if we allow them to paint these narratives of Karmelo about him being a negative product of the black community that caused harm and death of another white innocent kid, then they're going to look for reasons to militarize. They are. They might. So we need to fight back. We need to paint a positive narrative of Karmelo. We need to let them know how we feel about the double standard out there. And plus, for you scary people out there, we need to fight back. And not physically, but there's a lot of people that got a lot to say. They have their own platform. They can do what I'm doing. Hell, just speak truth to it. Call it out. Don't sit back and be like, all right, I'm going to wait till all this comes out. No, because by that time it might be too late. We get the Roland Martins of the world every day on the show. I love his show. I think he's the voice of black community for some things he say. Not all of it. But he speaks from a black perspective. He's been quiet. And there's two things that I feel that's going on with Roland Martin. Even though we need that nigga in this situation to have some kind of say, he could be waiting for all the evidence to come out. He could be. But would it be too late? Because you got a lot of these prominent motherfucking platforms that are trying to paint a negative narrative. And little shows like mine and others, they're not going to compete. So we need all warriors at ready, no matter what kind of weapon you have. If it's a cell phone that you can just go on Twitter and debunk some shit, or if it's a camera where you can create content to debunk some of this shit. Whatever it is, we need all of y'all ready.